let's go, because you know what I came in to do. 3 fights this year for Anthony Joshua. Went the distance with Jermaine Franklin. Took him 7 rounds to get rid of Robert Helenius. But the amount of criticism and assessments on his mental strength he's had to endure. But what it is, it's not just the boxing, the physical aspect and muscle memory that helps you improve. It's developing that steely demeanor when they're writing you off like they wrote off AJ and constantly critiquing you. You find out who your real friends are. You find out whether you still want to do this or not. Is it worth it? AJ went into that ring of Otto Wallin with that siege mentality. Wilder, however, with 1 fight in 2 years and some change, didn't have to endure the criticism because he stayed out of the ring, indulging in other pursuits, making music and whatever else he was doing. And in fact, he joined in with the crescendo of derision and disrespect, in my opinion, of those talking about AJ doesn't want the fight, AJ's mentally weak. AJ had Wilder, Miller. Well, Wilder waited until he wasn't in AJ's presence before he started talking about him. But, he had Otto Wallin, who doesn't normally indulge in shit like this. So he probably felt like he had the whole world against him. But I think that's made him tougher. Wilder, by staying out of the ring, hasn't had to absorb the criticism, the probing into if he's tough enough. He hasn't had to endure that. And Wilder, is sowing what he reaped by staying out of the ring like that. Because Joseph Parker had 4 fights, including the Wilder fight this year. 4. That's 3 more fights than Wilder had. AJ had 3 fights. So they were probably the 2 most active ranked heavyweights this year. Parker came off a bad loss last year to Joe Joyce. And he came back and had to face his demons. Andy Lee said Joe was at his lowest. Wilder, after he lost to Fury in 2021, his confidence must have been on the ground, but he made the choice to have 1 fight in 2 years and 2 months. AJ and Parker, they took their L's and they got back in the ring ASAP, trying to find their feet. And look, Parker, he beat Wilder Saturday and everybody, Joseph Parker. But they forgot the Jack Massey fight this year. Jack Massey's a career cruiserweight who lost to Richard Riakporhe. Jack's a good fighter, former IBO champion. He could be a top 5 cruiserweight in the UK, but no more than that. He looked shocking against Jack Massey.
This is almost Joseph Parker 2.0, the second sort of part of your career, so what's next?
Sorry, if I should have done this first, my love of our title to Matt Langley, my for song on Jack, sending my love to everyone in Samoa, New Zealand. I don't know what's next. Ask Andy. Maybe a better idea.
Trainer Andy, what would you like to see Joseph do next?
More of everything. Pick up on everything. Feet, head, sharper with everything. I think it's just beginning again. It's a rebuilding process.
What did I call it? The process. The rebuilding process. It's a painful process often after a traumatic loss. But without that fight, that Jack Massey fight, he wouldn't be able to quite grasp the reality of his situation on how much he needs to improve. Wilder, 1 fight in 2 years and a couple of months, yeah? And that 1 fight lasted a round. So, okay, you're still scoring knockouts. You didn't sustain any damage. You get back in the ring in the next couple of months. And if you flatline another guy again, okay, you're still scoring knockouts. And, he has a high knockout percentage, so it might take a few fights for him to get someone who can take him a few rounds. But that's what you have to do before you get back amongst the contenders. If you're going to have early blowouts, then you need to have 4 or 5 of them before you take on a ranked contender like Joseph Parker. The truth was, though, he wasn't planning to fight this year. Because when AJ and Wilder, when the skills challenge fell apart, Eddie Hearn offered to make Wilder versus Ruiz on DAZN. And he said something about, no, he's never going to sign with Eddie or something like that. He said negative about if he's going to sign with DAZN. Negative. And now he's fighting on DAZN. So he had no plans of fighting this year. And this is through his own choice. But when the Saudis presented that bag to fight Joseph Parker, he took his old rickety legs that looked skinnier than ever for some reason. Maybe because he's weighing 213. And his old rickety, I don't want to diss Malik, but Malik Scott, I don't know. I don't think he could coach Deontay Wilder.
Someone please tell Deontay Wilder he is not a boxer. There is literally nothing, and I mean nothing, telling me, you, or him that he's a boxer. So Deontay Wilder, please go back to that old mentality, that knockout mentality, that dog-eat-dog mentality, and start possibly laying these cats out again.
Show you wanna be a boxer. Show you wanna be a boxer.
And lastly, Ray, Wilder coming back, our American heavyweight coming back on the 15th. Is it hard to come back from a KO loss and still be
No,
yourself?
what is hard to come back is you gotta learn how to fucking box before you come back.
You got to look at situations as well, like Malik Scott. You got to have Wilder's back, but to have someone's back in boxing, you got to have knowledge. Like Lawrence Okoli taking on Chris Billion Smith. Now, no disrespect to Chris, he's very limited. One of Chris's biggest weapons was Shane, who had both men in the training camp. He knew the strategy, and Shane earned his money that day. Shane was screaming at the referee anytime Lawrence clinched. The crowd got onto him. Then Chris got onto him. He got deducted how many, 2 to 3 points or whatever. Title was gone. Taking on Joseph Parker, 1 fight, 2 years in 2.5 months. When Andy Lee knows Deontay Wilder inside out. He's been in Tyson Fury's camp for Deontay Wilder since 2020. And then, you know, like, I was skeptic about Tyson Fury having any influence, giving Joseph Parker pointers, but they know Deontay Wilder inside out. And I always thought, yeah, Parker's going to keep that left hand high up and rigidly keep it up. But, you know, he kept it up. But he relaxed as well to get his win. But when he dropped it, he was way out of range. When Wilder tried to get off, he slipped inside. He smothered any follow-up attack once he slipped inside. Blocked a lot on his left glove. Wilder bit on a lot of Joseph's feints, and Joseph had the better jab. When Wilder went to launch, Joseph also made sure he was going to launch at times as well, which threw Wilder's trajectory and his poise off. Because, you know, look, he's got a good action on that right hand. That was the most inaccurate Deontay Wilder I ever saw. And his legs, them 39, 38-year-old legs, them legs, how old was he, 38, 39? They've never looked worse, you know, they've never looked worse. He was telegraphing his shots from his legs, like they were wobbling all around the place, trying to set themselves to punch. And you could see when the right was coming, well, at least Joseph Parker could. He saw a lot of them coming. I think it was the 8th round where he battered Wilder. He gave Wilder such a beating. And you know what the truth is? And this is coming from somebody who picked Wilder. That wasn't the best Joseph Parker. Parker can fight better than that. And he still won every round. You know, I have to watch it back because it was a low volume fight in terms of punches landed from what I remember. But I haven't seen the CompuBox. But was he trying to box from the outside? He stunk the place out. He stunk it out. Because I can't figure out what he was doing in there. If he didn't know what he was doing, what was he trying to box? Yay, Malik, you're coaching. What was he doing in there? I'd like to know.
You can't change a player's game in the 9th inning.
It's too late to reinvent himself as a boxer at 38, 39. You don't do road work. He hasn't got a clue how to gauge range to play a long-range jab 1-2 game. Hasn't got a clue. Malik swore blind that he was bringing more to Wilder's toolbox that we're going to see. But he's regressed. You know, he threw them body jabs against Tyson Fury and he set the first knockdown up off that body jab. I didn't see none of that. He tried an uppercut against Parker. Tried to unload that right cross. Didn't know how to throw the jab. You know, Frank Warren is telling us that Shelley said that he spent too much time in some cryo chamber, which regulates body temperature and reduces swellings and pain. He spent too long in the cryo chamber. Are they sure it weren't Michael Jackson's oxygen chamber? Wilder said he'll steal the show, and he did steal it. Everybody's talking about him. He did steal it. Stealth the Hayoshka.
Now the trucks don't work.
Threw a lot of rabbit punches when he couldn't get his power shots off, and when it weren't going his way, he started throwing them hammer punches, which the referee didn't pull him up on. And like, nah, he's nowhere near one of the greatest heavyweights ever. That was his second best opponent in his career, who Anthony Joshua beat 6 years ago when Joseph Parker was a champion. Unanimous decision. That's his second best opponent, people. That's his second best opponent. This is what I'm saying, man. Like, oh, AJ has to knock Wallin out. AJ, listen, when he you did, Parker, in a free belt unification, people critiqued his performance. There were people who were saying he was running. You don't know. Listen, he stood in the ring center all fight. He didn't run once. I'm just talking on a technical level. A lot of people don't even know what the fuck they're watching when they talk boxing. They haven't got a clue. I dare anyone to sit down with footage of that fight and show me where Anthony Joshua was running. But yeah, the media shit on that performance. This was an unbeaten fighter, an unbeaten champion. Tell you, bro, a lot of you, call me a fanboy all the fuck you want. You've disrespected Anthony Joshua way too much. Way too fucking much. Lennox Lewis, when Otto Wallin pushed Tyson Fury close, he was saying Otto Wallin's stock rises. When AJ blows him out, he's saying, oh, he's still got to do more. It don't look like Wallin trained. There was no definition in his body. Wallin never had a bodybuilding physique. You know what I mean? He's just a blatant hater, and I don't like him. I had someone telling me, what are you complaining about? He said that AJ looked good. What else could he say? AJ looked superb. What was he going to say? But he had to throw a shot at the opponent, saying he had no definition in his body. But yet, he's praising Daniel Dubois, who fought Jarrell Miller, who had what definition in his body? He was fatter than he's ever been. He didn't say nothing about Miller's body. And I'm certainly not shitting on Daniel Dubois. Done a first-class job. Yeah? He technically didn't fight the right fight. But in a way, it's good that he didn't. Because the way he fought, he needed to test one particular muscle in his body. And that's the heart muscle. And he passed. Flying colours. Miller, from 7th, 8th round to the finish in the 10th, took what could be a career-shortening beating. Man ain't supposed to take them kind of headshots. Daniel can punch. He can punch very hard. And he was eating full-blooded uppercuts and right crosses and jabs. He needs a long rest after that, trust me. He took the worst beating of the night. The worst. Hello, Mr. Charles. Yeah, this boxing beats and rhymes. I'm kind of shocked at the choice of opponent because Kevin Johnson is not a kind of man you're going to look good against. You can get the job done. Why Kevin Johnson?
And the question is also, why not Kevin Johnson? I hear you. I share your concern, and I share your... It's very intriguing in the sense that it wouldn't have been our first choice of opponent, no.
Big up Don Charles. I was probably more happy for Don than even Daniel, because Don Charles has got an unfair slating from a lot of people about his training credentials. He's a lot better than what a lot of people have put out there. And he got Daniel in top shape, got his mental attitude correct, and Daniel's back in the game. Daniel is back in the game. At the start of the fight, he was moving a lot, and he was breathing through his mouth by the second or third. And you know when you see somebody moving a lot, and you've got this big lump in front of him walking him down, I was always wondering, is Daniel expending too much energy, even though he was winning the rounds? You know, once again, Daniel was coming off a loss, and it's a relative quick turnaround from when he lost to Usyk. But this is the thing, you know, like, Daniel's a young dude. You can bounce back from the L's, from a physical and mental standpoint. You can, if you have the want to do so, to stay in the gym, listen to your coach, work diligently. And I was impressed. And if I was him or Don Charles, I would ask Frank Warren to make that rematch with Joe Joyce, ASAP. So, it must have been sometime in the 60s when the WBC introduced the 4th rope in the construction of the boxing ring. You see, with the original 3-rope construction, they had to keep all 3 ropes tight to stop fighters exiting the ring. You know, they could get in a clinch, they could get pushed or hit really hard, and they could possibly exit the ring. The 4th rope is loosened, so if a fighter is hit hard like ELLIS Zorro on Saturday, it could still break his fall and prevent him from exiting the ring. And it also prevented him from banging his head on the canvas. Like, it wasn't much use to Michael Watson, who whiplashed his neck on the 3rd rope when he was knocked down by Eubank Sr. All the same, it seemed a little odd for Mauricio Sullivan to inform us that the WBC saved Ellis Zorro. Come on, man, like, it was in the 60s you did that. But, you know, all the same, Ellis overmatched, started pretty well, one left hook from Opetaia, who was a very dangerous champion, and it was good night, Vienna.
Ellis needs a positive start, boy. This is your big shot, man. You're on a big stage. You know what I mean? It's difficult watching fights like this because you're supposed to root for the British guy, but I'm a bit of a Jai fan, innit? So I'll just have to try and be neutral and professional. You know what I mean? All right, Zorro hasn't done much. Taking a look. Jai, stalking. Ellis circling. You got to watch the way you're circling, you know. You're circling right into the trajectory of that back. Yeah. And Jai will, Jai will drill that punch straight through the center, bro. Hard as he can. Oh, yeah. That's a good jab by Zorro to the stomach, but you're not coming forward. Big shot by Jai. Didn't quite get there. Ellis saw it coming. All right. Zorro, he looks relaxed, though. He doesn't look totally out of his depth, but it's very early. Try to right cross himself. Can he land something early and get a foothold in the fight? Feint by Zorro. Didn't throw nothing. Left hand to the stomach by Jai Opetaia, Ring Magazine champ. Jai got the ring center. Zorro being very cautious. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Or maybe you should try to land something early though. Jai working the body. Oh, big miss by Jai Opetaia. Good defense by Zorro. Ducked under and got back to the ring center. All right, not bad by Ellis. Is that his proper name, you know? Zorro, remember Zorro? Oh well, it's over. Oh well.
Yeah, he circled into the trajectory of that punch, as I observed very early in the round, and he was overmatched. Jai was on some Lloyd Hunnigan, I don't get paid for overtime business, and that was that.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
Now, the question is where does Jai go next? Now he doesn't have an IBF strap. He defended his Ring Magazine title. Currently, I'd have him the #1 cruiserweight. He did call for a fight with Chris Billion Smith, but Ben Shalom will be in no hurry to make that. Chris Billion Smith said he'd fight Jai a few weeks back, but his promoter knows that it's just not a good idea. Frank Sanchez, I don't know what his role in the upper echelon of heavyweights is right now. I really don't. I don't know where to assess where he's going, what potential big names will fight him. I don't know. I don't know where to go with him or what to do with him. Maybe Al Heyman is glad that the Saudis are taking him off his hands for a little while, rather than putting him on the preliminary portion of the PBC broadcast. Sanchez, who, although is a counter-puncher and from Cuba, is not a southpaw, kind of like Andy Cruz. Lennox was mentioning Andy Cruz is not like a lot of the other Cubans, not being a southpaw, because a lot of the Cuban coaches will convert their proteges into lefties. They will. We're talking in the amateurs, though. And against Junior Farr, who last year was knocked out in one round by Lucas Brown, he was prepared to counterpunch and content with a low-volume fight because he doesn't really want to lead. He can, but he doesn't really want to lead because more than likely he'd be successful, but he calculates it right down to the last digit of risk he's going to take when he's assessing offense and defense. So he kept it low volume, parried Junior Farr's jab, threw some hard shots himself. And when Junior Farr started to get confident in round 6 and got through with a few shots, that's when he opened up. When Junior Farr left himself wide open for the right-hand counters. And he did well to get up from the first knockdown in round 6, and then round 7, Sanchez took him out. No one really spoke about Sanchez, but it was a competent performance. He hasn't been able to capitalize on the FA Ajagba victory, taking FA's O. I haven't really got much of a commentary on what's next for him. Does he go back to the PBC? Are the Saudis going to do a winner stays on type of thing? Who knows? You know, Luis Ortiz didn't have a win on the level of FA Ajagba. And if he did, tell me who it was. Luis Ortiz was the fakest boogeyman invented by Deontay Wilder fans. Frank Sanchez is more of a boogeyman than Luis fucking Ortiz. Let me tell you that now. Wilder spoke to 78 Sports TV post-fight. 78 asked Wilder what's happening with the Joshua fight. You know, no disrespect to 78, but he fumbled the bag. You know it. And he knows it. The question was irrelevant. Ask Joseph Parker what happened to the Wilder-Anthony Joshua fight. Ask him. The only person Deontay Wilder should be asking to fight after that fucking mess we saw on Saturday is Joseph Parker. Wilder takes a long pause. And he said he paused for so long because he said there's so much going on, knowing full well that he fumbled the bag. But they turned it back around on Anthony Joshua. Man, they were so happy I lost. Well, you was very happy that Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, if I remember. They're so happy that they lost this big payday. Joshua gets big paydays regardless of Deontay Wilder. You know, they're saying, oh, look how happy AJ was. He turned back to the old AJ because he knew he didn't have to fight Wilder. They do realize the fight was signed. They weren't running anywhere. The Saudis are not going to bankroll Wilder just taking money from them, coming in the ring unprepared. You know, Wilder's had one win since 2019. It's not exactly the type of form that you get mega paydays for. Wilder fumbled the bag. Why are they blaming AJ? Why do they always do that? Why should AJ delay a title shot? A fight that if he wins, he can fight the winner of Fury and Usyk for undisputed. Why should he delay that for this lazy guy who fought once in 2 years? Why should he do that? The fight was there for Wilder. He fumbled the bag. Even if AJ was as scared as these guys want to make out, the fight was signed for. What more do you want him to do?
What more do you want from me?
Does that sound like someone who's scared to fight Wilder? Signed to fight him twice. The hardest puncher in boxing history according to his testimony. No boxing fans want to pay over the odds to see Wilder in no big fight. No boxing fans believe that Wilder deserves a big fight. He's tarnished. He's damaged goods. He's going to go back over to Al Heyman, and Al Heyman probably don't want to fuck with him now. Because the money he's going to be asking Al for, Al's going to be saying, "Niggas, you crazy." He needs to humble himself and apologize to the boxing fans that he went over Saudi for the bag. Because he wasn't going to fight this year until he was lured by the bag. Apologize to the boxing fans. I'll tell you what, if AJ's scared to fight Wilder after that feeble performance yesterday, he must be the most cowardly boxer ever born. Less heart than the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz. I mean, he signed up to fight Wilder twice before the pathetic performance. This guy is lazy. He doesn't want to do the hard work. He wants AJ to fry him a bone. He wants Turkey Al-Sheikh to fry him a bone. This guy has Joseph Parker issues right now, not Anthony Joshua. This guy is not on Anthony Joshua's radar. This guy is not on Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk's radar. He's not on that radar right now. He's not there. The stock has plummeted. One win since 2019. The stock has plummeted. This man is a depreciating asset. This is his form since 2019. Begging Anthony Joshua for another payday, for another lifeline. Nah, no chance. Especially as he's being so disrespectful. Nah. He needs to go and scrap on some PBC undercards on Amazon Prime and re-establish himself. One win in his last 4. It's got to be some kind of joke, surely. And now he's coming back asking AJ for a sandwich. Got to get your own now. Got to get your own. What's the other theory? He's trying to age Wilder out. What, like Wilder tried to age out Vlad? Shelley Finkel's words, Wilder's manager, not my words. Finkel, who manages Wilder with Al Heyman and JD's, also works closely with Klitschko. He said there is no need to rush Wilder into big fights against the best of the division, that despite a world title, he still needs time to grow and groom his skills. Look, Wilder is a baby winning the title. 25th of January, 2015. Receipt. Like he was trying to age out Vitali. Yeah, he was ranked when Vitali was champion. He didn't go for it. Waiting for Vitali's belt to go vacant to fight Berman Stavern for the belt. Yeah? He aged himself out. And he stalled Anthony Joshua's career for too long walking away from the DAZN money that guaranteed Undisputed against Joshua, or his stupid ass mediation case which screwed up the Fury fight for Undisputed, or Shelley pulling him out of Undisputed with Vlad. He hasn't only stalled AJ's time, he's stalled boxing fans' time in his own time. Yeah? He aged himself out, and now he's damaged goods. Let's put an end to this.